And we're going to read three very brief passages. First of all, in the book of Psalms, in chapter 23, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. And then at the end of the psalm it says, surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. And then in Ezekiel chapter 34, and we'll read a couple of verses from verse 11. For thus saith the Lord God, behold, I, even I, will both search my sheep and seek them out. As a shepherd seeketh out his flock in the day that he is among his sheep that are scattered, so will I seek out my sheep, and will deliver them out of all places where they have been scattered in the cloudy and dark day. And I will bring them out from the people, and gather them from the countries, and will bring them to their own land, and feed them upon the mountains of Israel, by the rivers, and in all the inhabited places of the country. I will feed them in good pasture, and upon the high mountains of Israel shall their fold be. There shall they lie in a good fold, and in a fat pasture, and shall they feed upon the mountains of Israel. I will feed my flock, and I will cause them to lie down, saith the Lord God. I will seek that which was lost, and bring again that which was driven away, and will bind up that which was broken, and will strengthen that which was sick. But I will destroy the fat and the strong. I will feed them with judgment. And finally, these well-known words in John chapter 10, we'll read from verse 11. I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd giveth his life for the sheep. But he that is an hireling, and not the sheep, whose own the sheep are not, seeth the wolf coming, and leaveth the sheep, and fleeth. And the wolf catcheth them, and scattereth the sheep. The hireling fleeth, because he is an hireling, and careth not for the sheep. I am the good shepherd, and know my sheep, and am known of mine. As the Father knoweth me, even so know I the Father, and I lay down my life for my sheep. And other sheep I have, which are not of this fold, them also I must bring. And they shall hear my voice, and there shall be one fold, and one shepherd. And so on. We trust the Lord to follow these readings with his blessing. Now, I do not intend to take one specific passage this evening. We've read there from a number of verses in different places, and I just want to spend a few moments speaking on a general theme. And you will probably have discerned by now that the theme that I wish to pursue this evening is the Lord as the shepherd of his people. And you will forgive me if my thoughts have a slightly more personal angle than perhaps I would normally take. Those of you who know me better will be aware, perhaps, that I've had a lifelong interest in and involvement with sheep, and that still continues, although on a much smaller scale. Now, I'm telling you this because today the local sheep market at which lambs and adult sheep are sold was held, and I spent part of the day there, something I have to do usually, perhaps once or twice a year. And as usual, I sold on a number of this year's lambs, now weaned, which are surplus to my stock requirements, and I thought it might be profitable to spend a few moments tonight reflecting on this theme. Now, as I said, I was attending the market today, and I had planned this day for many weeks, booking the animals into the sale and arranging sheep pens and so on. Now, the sheep, of course, had no idea about any of this. And it is the same for us too, is it not? We have no idea what the Good Shepherd has planned for his sheep, planned, in fact, from all eternity. For the sheep, I imagine that this morning would have seemed just like any other when I appeared to gather them down from the hill. They had no idea what was coming, no idea that before the day was over, some of them would be sold on to someone else. We have no idea what the Lord has planned for the next week, the next day, the next hour, not even the next moment. But it is no small comfort that whilst we cannot see ahead, he has it all planned and prepared. And furthermore, we know that if we are the Lord's, all things do work together for good. But as to what these things might be in the future, we simply do not know. Job could say of the Lord that he knoweth the way that I take. But Job himself did not know it. Providence is a great mystery, and things come into the lives of the Lord's people, which to us are quite inexplicable. I suppose I would have tried to explain to the sheep what was happening, but, well, I wouldn't, because they, of course, wouldn't have understood a word of it. It is far, far beyond them. And friends, the plans and the purposes of God are as far above us and our puny understanding as my plans for today's market are above the sheep. Isaiah 55:9, for as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. What I do, thou knowest not now, was said to another. But of course, having said all of that, I did not have anything like complete control of all these events. In a sense, I was in charge of the thing, but even that is very limited. I could have woken up so ill that I was unable to go, or the event, for any number of reasons, might have been cancelled. And besides that, some of the sheep might have proved impossible to gather off the hill, and I would have ended up taking less there than I had intended. So many things can put our plans upside down. Not so the Lord. All his plans always come to perfect fruition, for he has foreordained for his own glory whatsoever comes to pass. Not once has he ever been forced, even in the smallest detail, to adapt or abandon any part of his plan. You remember what was said at the time of the Exodus: not an hoof shall be left behind. We might have had to leave some behind. He never does. Now, as far as the lambs which I sold today are concerned, I am the only shepherd they've ever known since they were born last spring. Today, they have gone to another shepherd. What a blessing that there is no such change when it comes to the sheep of the Lord's fold. He shall never give them over into any other hand. Now, our sheep, of course, could be sold, and They could go to an unkind shepherd, and we have no control over that. In fact, I wouldn't even know. As I left the sale, I had my last glimpse of them. Tonight, they are on their way to another part of the country. I shall never see them again. What a contrast to the Good Shepherd, who never takes his eye off his flock. He is not, we read in John 10, like the hireling, who flees when danger comes because the sheep are not his and simply abandons them to their peril. I will feed my flock, we read in Isaiah 34, and I will cause them to lie down, saith the Lord God. He knows they're sitting down and they're rising up. Yea, all my thoughts afar to thee are known. Psalm 139:2. And oh, how he loves his flock. We read his words in John 10:15. I lay down my life for the sheep, not selling them for money. They are of no value in any case, but purchasing them at the greatest of cost, his own precious blood. The first of our three readings was the 23rd Psalm, and David could say, the Lord's my shepherd, I shall not want. And he goes on in the Psalm to demonstrate that all that we need in life, all that he needed in life, all that he needed in death, and all that we need in eternity is there in the provision of the Lord. And we know how that psalm ends. Goodness and mercy all my life shall surely follow me, and in God's house forevermore my dwelling place shall be.